Last time out in Hydro, Steve David and Jimmy Shane ignited a rivalry. Both boats literally trading blows. There were also some heart-stopping moments.
We have a crash in the first turn.
That ended the day for Tommy Thompson, and ultimately,
Jimmy Shane by a boat length. The 5 Graham Trucking holds on for the win.
He hit me.
will Steve David exact his revenge? We find out next.
Richard Rucky in lane 3.
And we welcome you to Sacramento, California for the second stop on the 2013 H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Series. This is the Big Wake Weekend from Folsom Lake. Rich Hollenberg along with Steve Montgomery. And Steve, we're a long way from Qatar, where last week we saw a back-and-forth contest between the veteran Steve David and his number 1 old boy Alberto boat, and the young gun, number 5 Graham Trucking's Jimmy Shane. Ultimately, Shane took home the world championship, his second world title, but it's still Steve David atop the chase for the national high points, with Shane in second. And Jimmy Shane, the boat to watch here in Sacramento in Heat 1A, where he's going to have to face the number 3 qualifier, J. Michael Kelly, and also Kip Brown driving the Spirit of Qatar.
J. Michael Kelly on the inside. Jimmy Shane in between boats. Kip Brown on the outside in the 95. Spirit of Qatar. Timing the run down to start line. Can't get there before 0-0, and Brown is right on time. He is the leader as we start Heat 1A. Here on Folsom Lake, each boat will race in 3 preliminary heats with a chance to earn points like this. Winners get 400 points, second place 300, and so on. Points are also awarded for qualifying. The top qualifier gets 100 points, second place 80, and on down the line. After all the prelims have been run, the 6 boats that have scored the most points in racing and qualifying go into the first row of the final heat, and the winner of the final is the champion. This is going to be a great matchup. The boat on the outside has a little better boat speed, top end, and acceleration. But on the inside, J. Michael Kelly's orange boat handles beautifully. And there you see him making up ground in the turn. Right on the buoy line, J. Michael Kelly with Jimmy Shane just to his right. And Kelly takes the lead back as they enter the front straightaway at the end of lap 1. Now here comes Jimmy Shane with that top end. He'll motor by him a 6,800-pound race boat, powered by a 3,000 horsepower Lycoming turbine engine, turning about 14,000 RPMs. Speed at the propeller about half of that, 7,000 to 8,000, reduced by a gearbox. Here's the race again, on to the backstretch. Kelly on the inside, keeping pace with Shane in the turns, but Shane's top end takes over right there and he pulls away again. Another great turn for J. Michael Kelly on the inside. Onto the backstretch. We have 1.5 laps to go here in this 3-lap prelim. Kip Brown in the 95 Spirit of Qatar running on the outside and back in 3rd place. Into turn 2 for the second time. Watch Kelly on the inside, trying to reel in Shane. Shane leaving him just enough room to get through there. Jimmy Shane will have the lead at the end of lap 2. He'll get the white flag as he crosses the line. 1 lap to go, but J. Michael Kelly continues to pursue. Shane into turn 1 for the final time in the red and black 5. Graham Trucking. The boat is based in Decatur, Indiana, owned by Ted Porter and family. Sponsored by Rob Graham, the trucker out of Seattle, Washington. Over on the inside, J. Michael Kelly hasn't given up the chase. He's going to pull up very, very close. He's right on the hip of Jimmy Shane as they go on to the backstretch, but now Shane's superior boat speed will be a factor here. Here is your leader with a half a lap to go to the checkered flag. You see J. Michael Kelly still in the picture on the inside. Jimmy Shane, the leader, just needs to make this turn and the run down to start-finish and hold off J. Michael Kelly, and he will get the checkered flag. Nice wide turn for Shane on the outside, leaving room for Kelly on the inside. But it won't be enough for J. Michael Kelly. It'll be Jimmy Shane. Down to the line, the checkered flag, the winner of Heat 1A.
So Jimmy Shane holds serve in his heat. The boat you didn't see there in that Heat 1A was Steve David. He qualified first here in Sacramento, and he took the checkered flag in Heat 1B. So Steve David atop the National High Points Championship, and he remains there after round 1, accumulating 500 points, with the win and the top qualifying speed. Jimmy Shane with that Graham trucking boat right behind him, just 20 points down with 480 points. They're spooling up for heats 2A and B. We'll have that when we return from Sacramento.
H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Series Racing from Sacramento on CBS Sports Network is brought to you by Formula Boats. You've always wanted the best, Formula Boats. And by Peters and May Global Boat Transport, the world's leading boat transport provider.
And we welcome you back, fans on hand on the water here on Folsom Lake, as we get set for heats 2A and 2B in Sacramento, California, the H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Racing Series. Let's hear from the Heat 1A winner, Jimmy Shane.
Really good heat between J. Michael and I. Tell you what, man, they've picked up some speed since last year, so they're going to be really competitive all season long.
Well, you heard Jimmy Shane reference J. Michael Kelly. He is one of the boats ready for Heat 2A along with John Zimmerman. And good to see Tommy Thompson back on the water after that horrific wreck in Doha.
And the score up coming out of the turn. For the run down to start finish, a surprise on the inside. John Zimmerman put the 9-team red dot in there. Doesn't usually do that. J. Michael Kelly, the orange boat, usually has the inside. Zimmerman's going to lead him across the line, but Tom Thompson making a great run down to the start line, and he nails it in the 11, Peters and May. Thompson a great start, but he's way on the outside. Zimmerman has the inside in a very fast race boat. We'll see how this works out. On board with John Zimmerman out of Maple Valley, Washington in the 9-team red dot. J. Michael Kelly right beside him, lives very close to Zimmerman up in the state of Washington. Tom Thompson in the 11, Peters and May, all the way from Cambridge, Maryland. On board with our leader, we are looking from the rear wing of the 9-team red dot as Zimmerman goes up the backstretch and into turn 2 for the first time. Great shot there as all 5 boats are coming right at us down the backstretch. Zimmerman the first to turn left, followed by J. Michael Kelly and Tom Thompson. Onto the front straightaway now, our leader coming down to complete lap 1, and a surprising lead over J. Michael Kelly in the 37 Precision Chevrolet, that orange boat running in second place. Look at him rock the boat from side to side. John Zimmerman flying the boat, getting maximum speed out of the 9-team red dot into turn 1 for the second time, building up a nice lead over J. Michael Kelly running in second place and Tom Thompson third. We're on board right there with JMK in the orange 37 Performance Chevrolet. Great boat speed for John Zimmerman on the backstretch in the 9-team red dot. Up the backstretch and into turn 2 for the second time, and he's opened up some water on his pursuers. Zimmerman, not normally a guy who battles for the inside, but he did here, and he was successful. He has turned the inside and great boat speed into a big lead now over J. Michael Kelly in the 37. On board with Tom Thompson in the 11, Peters and May, the bright chartreuse and blue race boat. Zimmerman down to complete lap 2. He'll get the white flag. 1 lap to go. Flying the boat down the front straightaway, reaching speed of about 185 to 190 miles per hour. One of the fastest race boats into the world. Then to turn 1 for the last time now. He'll go on to the backstretch, fly the boat up that straightaway into the turn, come down to start finish. And if Zimmerman can keep it on the water, he's going to win Heat 2A. J. Michael Kelly, you can see the lead that Zimmerman has ahead of him. We go on board with our leader one more time, John Zimmerman, taking the 9-team red dot into turn 2 for the final time. A quarter of a lap to go for the checkered flag. J. Michael Kelly will finish second if he can hold this position. Right behind him, Tom Thompson in the 11, Peters and May running in third. Here's the checkered flag for John Zimmerman, the winner of Heat 2A in the 9-team red dot.
Well, those 2 boats we were racing were the 37 and the 95. We know they're just as fast as we are, so we had to get inside on that heat, and we did something we'd never done before, and it worked out.
Certainly did, and 400 points for Zimmerman. And how about Heat 2B, where they were chasing another 400 points? It was the 2 boats to watch. It was Jimmy Shane, it was Steve David. David gets penalized for jumping the 1-minute timing buoy, so Jimmy Shane gets the win. As a result of that win, Jimmy Shane is currently in first place here in Sacramento with 880 points, and Steve David drops down to fourth.
I had a brain fade at the 1 minute. Came in to do a whole shot and just got there a full second too early, which, heck, that's probably 7 boat lengths over, so that was just my stupidity.
Well, Steve David's going to have to recover. Everyone's chasing that man. The number 5 Graham Trucking boat, driven by Jimmy Shane. They're craning into the water. We're getting ready for Heat 3 coming up. Welcome back to California's state capital, Sacramento, California. We're on Folsom Lake for more unlimited hydroplane racing and big wake weekend here. John Zimmerman and Jimmy Shane both won their respective Heat 2s, and they headline Heat 3A along with Spirit of Qatar and Kip Brown, and the Performance Chevrolet driven by J. Michael Kelly. Alongside Steve Montgomery, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Steve, we're set for 3A.
John Zimmerman in the 9-team Red Dot, the white boat, leading the field down to the start line. He may be early. The start line is right there, and he is early. John Zimmerman jumped the clock. That moves him from first on the water, clear to the back of the field. That will hurt his chances to make the final heat. Zimmerman goes into the first turn with the lead, way on the outside, but the legal starters off to his left are the leaders. We are looking at the 95 Spirit of Qatar. That's Kip Brown, the driver, on the inside, but there's a boat ahead of him, and that's this guy, Jimmy Shane, in the 5 Graham Trucking. The leader once again onto the backstretch. Second place is Kip Brown, running to his left on the buoy line. That is Brown on the right of your picture. The white boat on the left is Zimmerman. He'll be penalized a lap as Jimmy Shane leads him into turn 2 here at the end of lap 1. A heartbreaker for John Zimmerman. He won from the inside last time, went to the outside this time, got his timing off, and it will cost him. Jimmy Shane comes down to complete lap 1. The youngster out of Havre de Grace, Maryland, his second full season of driving in the Unlimiteds. He has been nothing short of sensational. A winner already multiple times here on the H1 Unlimited Tour, and looking to win this one. He'll hook it up in the final with Steve David, and that should be a beauty. We're on board right there, riding along the left sponson with Jimmy Shane, leaving room for Kip Brown running to his left in the 95 Spirit of Qatar, a white and maroon boat flying the colors of the flag of the country of Qatar. And here they come right at us one more time. Jimmy Shane, you see him walking the boat from sponson to sponson, riding just above the surface of Folsom Lake, into the turn again. Now Kip Brown makes the turn off to the left. Shane leaving room for him in there. John Zimmerman continues to race, but he's back a lap. He will have to run an extra one. Jimmy Shane coming down to finish lap 2 now in the red and black. Graham Trucking, the 5, the boat based in Decatur, Indiana, the sponsor Graham Trucking out of Seattle, Washington. And Jimmy Shane will have no problem making the final if he can keep it on the water right here and earn those 400 points for first place. Kip Brown has had a pretty good day in the 95 Spirit of Qatar. Should have enough points to make the final as well. Off to Kip's right, you see John Zimmerman. Zimmerman now second on the water, but at the back of the field officially. A half a lap to go for Jimmy Shane in the 5 Graham Trucking. He'll go up into turn 2 for the last time. There he is coming right at you with Kip Brown still pursuing off to the left. Zimmerman to Shane's right. He'll have to run the extra lap. Through the turn for the last time, and Jimmy Shane heads down for the checkered flag. No problem making the final heat for this guy. Another win for Jimmy Shane out of Havre de Grace, Maryland in the 5 Graham Trucking.
Well, there's always room for improvement, Steve, but as far as you can tell by the score, it's been a perfect weekend for Jimmy Shane and that number 5 Graham Trucking. They picked up the max amount of points in terms of their heats. 3 for 3, securing a spot in the final.
So far, 3 for 3, that's what we're here to do. Those guys are running good, but a lot of this is head games, and I think we got them going right now. Everybody's thinking about what we're going to do, what timing mark we're going to be at, where, and right now we're just mixing it up enough to throw everybody off, and come the final, who knows what we're going to do. So can't wait. 3 for 3. Can't do any better than that.
Well said, Jimmy Shane, but that Graham Trucking boat is going to be chased by none other than Steve David, J. Michael Kelly, and the rest of the finalists here on Lake Folsom in Sacramento, California. The biggest race is saved for last. The finals coming up when we return.
H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Series Racing from Sacramento on CBS Sports Network is brought to you by Formula Boats. You've always wanted the best, Formula Boats. And by Peters and May Global Boat Transport, the world's leading boat transport provider.
We welcome you back to Folsom Lake in Sacramento, California, alongside Steve Montgomery. I'm Rich Hollenberg. This has got to be one of the best vantage points in all of motorsports racing. The fans are fired up, and so are we for the final heat here to see who wins in Sacramento. The highlight boats, Steve David, Jimmy Shane, J. Michael Kelly, and Kip Brown have also had success on this water. But Steve, it could very well come down to that Oh Boy Oberto and that Graham trucking boat like it did in the World Championships.
7 rooster tails on Lake Folsom for the running of the championship final heat. The lake will get very rough very, very quickly. You see Jimmy Shane out ahead of the field. We are scoring up for the start on the backstretch. Inside, that looks like Kip Brown in the 95 Spirit of Qatar. He's going to have lane 1. Jimmy Shane will be in lane 2 in the 5 Graham trucking. J. Michael Kelly has the 37 Precision Chevrolet out in lane 3, and that means that Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto is going to have to come from lane 4. The white boat way on the outside, that is John Zimmerman in the 9 Team Red Dot. You saw a flash of chartreuse there. That is Tom Thompson in the 11 Peters and May. He is the trailer boat starting behind the field. Now here's the rundown to the start, and look at the Oberto accelerate for Steve David. If he timed it well, and he did, it's a legal start. Steve David is the leader with a lot of boat speed into the first turn, but he will have to leave a lot of lanes to his left. There are boats in there. Leaving room for Jimmy Shane and Kip Brown. Running inside the rooster tail of the Oberto. That's J. Michael Kelly. He's back between the rooster tails in very, very rough water. It's going to get ugly back there for J. Michael Kelly. And look at the lead Steve David has already on the backstretch of our first lap. Off to the right, you see Kip Brown in the white boat. That is Jimmy Shane in the dark boat running in between. And Steve David comes into the turn with a big lead. He can move over once he has a 7-boat overlap. Look how tight it is for Jimmy Shane running in between the buoy line and the rooster tail of Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto. Steve David across the start-finish line with a commanding lead at the end of lap 1. The leader still not running right on the buoy line. He wants to make sure he has that 7-boat length overlap before he moves over. That way he will not incur a penalty. Look at the boat speed. Look at Steve David flying that boat. Still pursued by Jimmy Shane, who had to move outside the wake of the leader, and now Kip Brown does the same. He was over in lane 1 in the 95 Spirit of Qatar, but he has to go to the right now out to lane 3, and Brown is running in 3rd place here on lap 2. Steve David up the backstretch one more time, lifting up that left sponson a couple of times, using the front wing to bring it back down, reaching a speed of 185 to 190 miles per hour here on this 2-mile race course. He's into turn 2 for the second time, headed down to start finish, and Steve David will be the leader at the end of lap 2. He has increased his lead since he came by at the end of lap 1. The leader now starting lap 3, getting near the halfway point of this 5-lap, 10-mile winner-take-all championship final heat. As you can see, Folsom Lake getting very, very rough. 7 hydroplanes, propellers, skid fins, the boats themselves churning up the lake. It's a very, very rough ride, much rougher than it looks on camera. Jimmy Shane on board the 5 Graham trucking, and you can see how far in the distance Steve David is. Shane is a distant second now, with Kip Brown running behind him in the 95 Spirit of Qatar. Steve David coming up behind Tom Thompson in the 11 Peters and May. Tom was the trailer boat. He finished 7th in points after the prelims, had to start behind the field. And now Steve David will cross start-finish with a big lead at the end of lap 3. It's the beginning of lap 4 of 5 for our leader, Steve David. He has led throughout this championship final heat, looking for win number 19 in one of the greatest careers in the history of unlimited hydroplane racing, hoping to take the Big Wake Weekend Trophy from Sacramento back to the boat's hometown in Madison, Indiana, scene of the next stop on the H1 Unlimited Tour. After Madison, it's up to Detroit, Michigan for the APBA Gold Cup, then out to the Pacific Northwest for races in South Central Washington on the Columbia Columbia River in the Tri-Cities and over to Seattle for Seafair. A brand new race returning to the circuit after a long, long layoff. Last time the hydroplanes raced on Lake Coeur d'Alene was over 40 years ago. They'll be back there after Seattle. Then it's down to San Diego for the season ender, which Steve David hopes will mean another national title for him and the team. He is on the white flag lap now. Just one lap to go for Steve David as we were on board with Jimmy Shane in the 5-gram trucking. He's been pursuing Steve David throughout the 5 laps, has not been able to make up much ground. Just too much boat speed in the red and green Oberto for the rest of the field. Steve David still behind Tom Thompson. He was the trailer boat. He's actually behind the field. Steve running just behind his wake. Doesn't have to fly it too high. Doesn't have to go too fast here. Just has to keep it on the water for another half a lap. They're getting out the checkered flag over at the start-finish line as Tom Thompson comes through turn 2 with Steve David right behind him. 1/4 of a lap to go now. He'll turn left and be just a few seconds away from victory. Steve David, it's win number 19, his first of the 2013 racing season. The checkered flag flies at the start-finish line. It's a wire-to-wire victory for Steve David and the one, oh boy, Oberto. Jimmy Shane has to settle for second place here in Sacramento in the 5-gram trucking.
So Steve, the veteran David, taking the top spot here in Sacramento, but it is not enough to overtake Jimmy Shane and the number 5-gram trucking boat in the overall high point standings.
Jimmy's a great driver. I've known his parents forever. In fact, Stu and I raced against each other a long time. I'm like 30, 40 years ago. So great to see Jimmy come along. Great competition. It's been myself and Bill Watt for the past decade, and we're both 59. So this kind of neat having Jimmy coming along. He's in his mid-late 20s. So great competition. He's going to push me. I'm going to push him, and I'm ready to pass the gavel on. The kid's looking like he's going to be number 1.
Yeah, but something tells me he's not ready to hang it up just yet. Steve David with another victory in hydroplane racing. Next up, the Hydros go to the Heartland. They'll be on the Ohio River, where the fastest boats on water travel to Madison, Indiana, for one of the oldest race venues in the sport. For my partner, Steve Montgomery, and everybody here in hydroplane racing, I'm Rich Hollenberg saying so long from Sacramento. We'll see you next time.